Welcome aboard, all you wonderful groomers, pet stylists, and canine cosmetologists. You found the Traveling Groomers podcast, where we discuss lessons learned from mobile and house call grooming. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Bear Anthony. Any moment now, we'll be joined by my co-host and friend, retired mobile groomer and educator extraordinaire, Maryoquendo, and very likely a special guest to help us chat about all things grooming, grooming industry related, and just plain fun digressions that I will totally wrangle back to topic. Grab those travel mugs and climb aboard to see where today's topic will bring us. Let's roll! Pet Edge is your provider for professional grooming supplies at great prices. Check their website often for new products, sales, and special offers. For a limited time, save 5% off your order with promo code TRAVELER5. Find what you need to succeed at petedge.com. Okay, now we're here. Hey,
Okay,
Mary,
Chris.
we got a guest.
I know we have a guest, but before we have talk to the guest, do you want to say what episode?
Yeah, because I'm going to forget. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 296 of the Traveling Groomers, recorded on March 26th. And because we are records ahead, we'll be airing on May 7th. And welcome our special guest, Jess Adorno.
What's up,
Boom.
guys? Hello.
I am actually really excited that we have a couple of episodes in the can because usually it's like this panic and it's like, Chris, I need the stuff. I need it so I can get it scheduled. I need it like now. So
Yeah.
we're much more relaxed right now.
Oh, I love that. I was wondering how you guys were getting this done, going to trade shows and teaching, and it is a lot to get it
Well,
all done.
it helped that we went from every week to every other week. That
Had a
was
week
a
lag.
huge help because, yeah, I would have died by now. But this time something would have given. We just would have put up a whole bunch of best of episodes or some
A lot of
shenanigans.
people fail to realize what the behind the scenes are for these episodes, what it takes to get the guests on, even with good intentions. Sometimes, even with me, it's been hard to just
Yeah.
connect with everybody in their schedule. So it isn't easy to do it. And so congrats to you guys, and thank you for doing it for the fellow groomers.
Thank you. You know what? You're one of our favorite people.
Thanks.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
grew on me, Jess.
Well, here's the
Love
thing.
this.
Well, okay. I've always liked Jess, and I've always liked you because you speak your mind, but you
I
don't
do.
do it in a manner that is mean or condescending to other people. So I think and it's not even like a fine line. There is a solid line
Yeah.
between speaking your mind and being true and authentic and making people feel like crap.
No, absolutely. Always with love. Always with love.
So that's one of the things I've always admired about you is that you say what's on your mind and you do it in a kind manner. Funny, but kind.
Thanks. That means a lot. I put things out. I don't think any of us were, I wasn't born. I mean, I was born to do it now that I know it, but I didn't know that. And stumbling upon like groomers, grooming found me and a lot of us have found us.
Yeah.
And in that process, we stumble. We do these haircuts that we're like, we look back and we say, did we really do that? But that's the beauty and growth. And what I love about where I am personally now is that I know where my strength is and I know where there could be improvement. And that's been through the industry and that's really been nice. Some of it's been hard, but whenever it's given in with love, like Mary says, it's always, taken and it's like a critique. Just like this past weekend, we see all these competitors in the ring and what they're doing is so valid. But what we fail to realize is what we're doing is so valid as well. Talking to the people and making sure they're getting the tools and making sure they're making the connections and these brief moments when they need the words to get them to the next day or the next place in their career.
And I think that's what a lot of us don't realize, and a lot of us,
Mhm.
well, okay, I know you're big on social media, and that's
Yeah.
when I say you grew on me, it's because all I knew was like trade show Jess, and I'd
Oh
been
yeah.
and social media, and so many, not everybody, but there's a lot who aren't really genuine behind that, where there's their
Right.
social media. But I got to know you. I'm like,
The
oh
real
shit.
deal.
Oh, she's real. Oh my God. And it was like that. Like I went from being like, yeah, okay, she's all right to, oh my God, I'm not her.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
And that's the analogy I was making. And sometimes as groomers, you go out there and you're not noticed, and then there's
yeah,
just that one rescue roundup, or there's
yeah.
that one show they enter. There's just one dog that you lend to someone, and they go, "You did this haircut," and they make the connection and say, "Wow, you're really talented." And it's nice that the industry recognized that before I actually really knew it, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of honed me into what they wanted. He says, "We love it. We want you to be kind, but we also want to see your skill set." So
Yeah.
it made me, I would say, it really did.
Well, and you get what a lot of people don't necessarily get is when you're talking to either on social media or in the trade show, you're talking to that newer groomer.
Mm.
You have to be careful because you could say something as like a throwaway comment that devastates someone without even
Yeah.
realizing it. So
Oh yeah,
I
sure.
don't think you've ever done that, but I've listen, you go to as many trade shows as I do, and there's everything. There's drama at every show. There's this one said this about
People.
that, and this
Yeah.
happened, and it's people in a big space. But no, there's so many real good, genuine people still in it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I like to bring up the story when my first really big trade show I went to was at Groom Expo in Hershey many, 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 many years ago. And I remember taking a class with Suze Echo, and I adore Suze Echo. I will defend that woman to the death. I will be the one standing in front of somebody with a sword. Don't you dare talk anything bad about Sue. Sue is the best.
Yes,
But
she is.
the reason I feel that way is because as that new groomer, and when I saw her in the hallway and I asked the question, she was so nice. She stopped.
Mhm.
I'm on my way to another class. Come walk with me. So she didn't blow me off, even though she was
Yes.
busy. And she answered my question. But on the flip side, at that very same show, again, now this is also Sue's fault because she was so nice to me. I assumed all speakers were nice.
Yes.
And I went up to another speaker to ask a question, and boy, she shot me down.
Hmm.
The direct quote was, if I was paying attention in class, I would know the answer to that.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
So, and I will tell people who, if you've had that experience, just know that those speakers are actually in the minority.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Okay. You didn't get lucky and get a nice experience with Sue the first time, like I did, but keep at it.
Yes. And I'm sure that that experience probably led you to be a better educator
Bingo.
because you wanted to be so open and
Yeah.
really receive how to be better. And so that goes back to what Chris was saying. A lot of people in the beginning, when social media really came about, I made a conscious decision and said, well, if I'm going to sit here on the pooper and scroll and see everybody's food and gym routine, well, I'm going to make this thing work for me. And what really sparked me was education. It was the ability to show others, right, in this big space and get it out there and then stay in my nice, comfortable space, which we all love as traveling and mobile groomers.
Mm-hmm.
There's some je ne sais quoi about that. So you can open up the window or close the window, and then it becomes your nice, comfortable space. So with that being said, I think a lot of people just didn't know how to take it. Like who are the who's? And it's interesting now. I would say a good 5 or 6 years of saturation of a lot of content. A lot of people have come out. You really have gotten to see who is the genuine, who's not, who's kind of flipped around, who's the flash in the pan. And I think that the real the real people who really want to make a difference, like us. I really wanted to get that frothing out there. I really wanted to get rid of dilution bottles. I was really like gun ho on that for mobiles and getting a faster process. So I think with anything, it's just consistency. And even if it gets annoying, but some people say, I just buy the shit because you don't shut the hell up. And I go, that's right. I like it. And they'll come back though, but they will also come back and say, this is the best share I've ever purchased.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes us groomers, our creatives, we get stuck in our nice, comfortable spaces and we don't want to change. I've noticed that on the side of the vendor side. Have you noticed that, Chris?
Yeah, I've noticed that a little bit. It's hard because you get into when you're on the vendor side, it's taken a while to change because every new product
Mhm.
is depending on how new it is and if someone's developing it. Is it years of research? Is it development? Is it how many prototypes?
Right,
Like I knew Mo and Abby when they were my sharpeners before this was a twinkle in their eye. And
right.
I got to see prototypes.
Mhm.
So we kind of know why things work and why things don't and why we do it the way we do. But there is a hesitancy to try new things. But then also on the other side, you have the same, sorry, gotta throw the ball. Uh, there's there can be the opposite on vendors. There can be where they don't put thought into it and, oh, let's grab the new trend.
Oh yeah.
Let's
Oh,
let's
for sure.
let's sell the new trend. This is new. Let's carry it and sell it even though we don't know that it works, why it works, how it works. So I mean, I see that too.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the same thing. We can correlate this the same way to social media. You'll see people who will represent a company and then they'll go live and they'll try to, answer questions and, oh, well, I haven't been there long enough. Whereas when you and I are at our booths, if somebody comes along, we those shears are extensions of our hands at
Oh
this
yeah.
point,
Yeah.
where we can't see anything other than that because we know how smart it'll make the groom and less hard.
Yeah.
Whatever preference it is, whatever preference it be, whether you want a swivel, whether you don't, you want a lefty, whatever it is that you want, it has to be comfortable. And so, and the person who's at that booth and or should be the educator, master
Yeah.
educator of what they are behind. And I think that that really is where you're going to see the genuine people who stay around for years to come, like Mo and Abby, like Kem.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, my
Kevin
goodness.
Tommy.
And Tommy. Now you have Michelle coming along with all these handlets for all of us
Yeah.
groomers. I mean, I think that what people don't realize is groomers are really revolutionary, like people. If it wasn't for us, I mean, look at these magnets. This is unbelievable. And this is alpha that makes this little magnet.
Was seeing they were right next to us at the show. I kept staring at it. I'm like, that's cool AF. Because
Yeah.
I do the holster. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put my
And
shears there, but oh, for a comb? Oh, hot damn. A blade? Oh, wait,
yeah.
I got to switch blades. Of course.
Exactly. And so these are the innovations that the newbie groomer will come into with the education from us, who's seen it, who's helped develop these products. And I mean, it's amazing to be in this position now and say, wow, darn it, I put in 20 something years. We just
Yeah.
came off of Intergroom now and they had the Hall of Fame. And that was very interesting to see. That I mean it's really just a drop in time and you're like, wow, I remember all these people and now we're the next stage coming.
I am so bummed I missed that. Like
Hmm.
Mindy and I went because Evolution co-sponsors the Compassionate Groomer Award, and Mo and Abby weren't able to be there. And I I didn't even know what was going on. There was so
Hmm.
much stuff going on that weekend. We're like, okay, we did our thing. We got to go see how Mo's doing. We got to like run back to the hotel. And then I find out the next day who was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that I missed it. And I'm like,
Right.
damn it. But on that note, we are already behind on taking our first quick commercial break. See, this is what I mean. we get chatty and we just go. So hang on, 30 seconds. Be right back. Okay, you know I love. Are you tired of buying cheap shears? Do you want to buy quality shears that are custom fit to your hand, but you're really a little afraid of paying an arm and a leg? Evolution Shears have you covered. No arms or legs required. Come on down, we will custom fit you. We are not the cheapest shears out there, and that is a good thing. Right, Mindy?
Can I have my leg back now?
Maybe? Thank you. You know,
Okay, one thing I want to say is I
didn't plan that was the commercial. I just rotate the commercials, but I said I want to talk a little bit about sharpening, and that happened to be the one that was due to go up.
Look at that.
Okay, so I just want to say this, all right? I was really annoyed when, see, Michelle took my pet tech instructor training class. So she's a pet tech instructor. And when she's there, she has this prototype to handle it.
Yes.
All right? And I'm like, for a minute there, I got mad. I got mad because why didn't I have this 10 years ago?
Yeah. Of course. Right.
But
amazing.
that was, a lot of work went into that. That was a lot of studies, a lot of beta testing, a lot of different injection molds. So when you see these products at a trade show, especially ones designed by groomers, we know. We know what we want. Right? And I think we make the best products.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So a little bit before we hit record, I was saying one of the things I want to talk about is just the three of us about normalizing having backups of your favorite shears so that you can mail stuff in for sharpening. Because I know we say drop things off early, but still sharpeners get backed up at shows. Things happen. Mo had a medical emergency pretty early on Friday. Like he had left the building in an ambulance by 10:30 Friday morning.
Oh, no.
So, and we'd already taken in a bunch of sharpening. So, because apparently there's nothing that Mindy can't do, she had already spent 2 weeks with Mo in January. He trained her. She spent the next month like just sharpening everything in her house, sharpening all the stuff in her shop, getting the practice down, and she jumped in. And I think she did an amazing job. And we were like, to everybody, please check your shears before they get picked up, all of this. But all of that is to say, stuff happens at a show.
Stuff happens in life.
Stuff happens in life. I mean, sharpeners at shows are like us the week before Christmas, every show. Yeah. Because it's you gotta get it out, you gotta get it out. And sometimes it's just easier for everybody to be able to send it in.
Yeah, agreed.
Because, and I know not everyone's able to, but we need to normalize spending the money on our equipment.
Or at least having a spare set, like one set, a straight, a curved, a thinner.
Yeah, I have backups for my backups. I have a backup Bathing Beauty. I have backups on almost every. I just bought a brand new cordless clipper because all my backup clippers were corded, and I went, oh, I can't go back to cords. I can't go back to cords.
So my first grooming van was back in 2002, had a generator. It was not Wagon Tails. It was Wagon Tails' competitor, which was, oh God.
Was it Onan?
Groomobiles.
What was that?
Was it Groomobiles?
Nope.
Onan? No, that's the generator.
Generator. But anyway.
Groomobiles, I thought it was.
I'll think of it by the end of it. I mean, how can I not? Terry Minix was the owner of the company. But anyway, I had a spare generator, okay? I had spare dryers, spares everything. I'm retired now, 6 years. Oh my God, 6 years from grooming. I still have a full set of grooming equipment, should I ever decide to groom again or get a dog that requires grooming? Though at this point, my 4 short-coated dogs are going to a groomer, you know?
Right?
So chances are, if you get a haircut dog, it's going to go to a groomer anyway.
Yeah, it's probably going to go to a groomer. What the hell? When am I going to do this? But I don't want to be that person that brings in, but I was a groomer and then brings in a matted dog.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Dude,
no.
no pressure. When one of my first jobs outside of corporate, I'd been grooming maybe a year, probably less than a year. And I worked in a boarding daycare place. And a woman brought in her 2 dogs. And then she brought in the book she wrote on home grooming because she was a groomer. And I was like, oh, no pressure at all. I'm fine. I'll just die now. So fortunately, she was fine. She was fine.
Yes, she was fine. It's like we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband at some point, he'll bring up he wants a poodle. And he wants a poodle like they have at Westminster, with the 8 inches of coat and stuff like that. And the first time he made mention of that, I went to the kitchen drawer, got out the comb and a brush, and I said, this is a brush. And if you want a
This is
dog
your
like
life
that,
now.
that will be your life. Because if we get a standard poodle, he's going to be in a Miami,
Oh,
a bikini.
if you see how if you see a little bit of a shaggy head pop up now and then, that was a Miami that my look, shoemaker's children go barefoot. And your husband is the opposite of mine because we got Alaric and he was like, it's for work. You need to practice. You can do anything you like. You can do anything you like. You can do anything you like. Okay. We're watching Westminster that year. Not even Westminster. We're watching the one at Thanksgiving that they do in Philly. It's not Crofts. It's the Eukanuba tournament.
Yes.
The
Yes.
one that plays on Thanksgiving. So, and it was a black standard poodle with the big spray up, and he looks at it, and then he turns to look at me, and it goes, "You're not going to do that to our boy, right?" I'm like, "Oh, what happened to anything I want? What happened to?" First of all, no, I'm not gonna. I don't.
Beautiful, but not for you.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, just the upkeep. If
Yeah.
I had the time, absolutely.
Sure.
I don't know, Chris. I got to give props to any groomer who can keep a poodle in that
Oh
kind
yeah.
because we all know how long that takes. There's
Oh
other
no.
parts of life. There's
You
like
were just speaking about Suzeko. She was just doing a spray up on one of her standards, and I put it was probably 10 inches high. I mean, it was stunning. And at the same token, she has 3 male puppies that
I
are in a
saw.
oh yes, and they were very groomed and they were very ready to go in their puppy playpen. And she was doing that. Then she was doing demos, managing the whole thing. And I just come by and say, we all have our talents.
yeah. No, that goes into hobby territory now because you know what? We have to eat, we have to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, there's other things in life besides that. I've got a greenhouse, I've got gardening. I mean, there's 24 hours in a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, and you're semi-retired. Don't pull the I've got greenhouse and gardening, Miss Semi. I'm going to hit a button to get us back on track because I can't with you right now gardening. And then after I find that button, you have some questions for Jess. I love being a house call groomer, but I hate doing laundry or worrying about asking my clients for fresh towels. Raypet has solved those problems for me with the Wet Pet disposable towel. Taking up much less space than traditional cotton towels and easy to wring out and reuse, these super soft, comfy, absorbent towels eliminate any cross-contamination concerns between pets. And now their new smaller washcloth size can even help those sensitive eye areas. Great for cleaning out wrinkles gently and thoroughly. Need to keep water bowls for your clients on hand that are easy to disinfect, but hate all the room traditional clanky metal bowls take up? Or just have a very active pet? Their collapsible silicone bowl comes with an aluminum D-ring hook that can be attached to your pet's leash or anywhere else in your van for easy storage. You can get one by itself or in their handy travel kit, along with a set of 3 tick removers and 1 small wet pet towel. So stop by their website to check it out, raypet.net, and tell them the Traveling Groomer sent you.
Okay, so
So
you hurt yourself a little while ago.
I did. I had a right foot Achilles tendon tear, a minor tear from knee surgery and other things. That tear was repaired. 6 weeks after into physical therapy, there was a pop. And that pop led to 2 years to date of a long story of an injury that just kept on going to date. So that what ended up happening was the Achilles actually ruptured. And in the rupture, what the doctor has to do is basically anchor down the Achilles and fuse it together with there's a lot of grafting that has to go on. It's a very, very, very intricate injury because it is a one of our major tendons and we use it in everything that we do and we take it for granted. And yeah, that's what happened. And ultimately, once they put the fiber wire in, the fiber wire, I was allergic to it and my body rejected it. It also rejected the sutures. So everything was in rejection that was supposed to help me heal. So my body was healing, rejecting. 7 surgeries to date. And yes, 2 years and 1 month. And I still have about a half an inch open, half an inch depth from those surgeries. Back to back, they were. Yeah, that's
So
tough.
how did what do you call it? So how did that impact you working in the van?
Oh, I look back to see what I did, and I look back at the years because of social media and I do a lot of content. And I will tell you, I never stopped. Within each surgery, I would take a week and a half off as far as just the day to day and then go back into the van, go back into the van. I had a fellow mobile groomer come drive for me at one point. And then once I got the gist of it and learned that I could get a pseudo leg to walk on a peg, then it was all games in. There was no stop. So I was able to find something called a freedom leg. And what that does is it offloads your glutes and all of the actual weight to your glute area and back thigh. And I was able to just harness the foot and hold it there. And I did that. And that was a big savior for me. So in that, I trained myself like anything you do. Anything you do, if you train, you can do it. And that was my mentality. My mentality was, well, this is going to go down. This is a big problem. And I also have a whole year of trade shows. And this was the first year that I was with Kenchi Joyzy and a whole new product line was coming out. I was super excited. I did one trade show with my new sponsorship and the next trade show, this was the situation. So I have to say that it's interesting that Chris and I share this. Having a handicapped person on the team regularly isn't something that many people even think about. Because when you have to bring a booth together and boxes and there's carpet and there's amounts of traveling that go on and miles and miles of walking in these epic trade shows, some of them small, some of them big, but there is always a lot of walking and standing. The team Evolution and Kenshi Joyce, you have to say, you'll never find teams like that that are handicap accessible, that understand what it takes to have these devices and go through cars and the empathy that they had for it. I mean, I know that I'm in the right spot, but it was hard. And I think the one thing that if anybody's listening to this that got me through that was the dogs. That was the one thing I always concentrate on. Everyone, how are you doing it? You look like you're in pain. I says, when you see a dog that the one day they have all 4 of their legs, the next day We don't know what happens. They have an amputated leg. That dog, once they're healed, if not they go out and they run. They acclimate. They don't talk about how it hurt their feelings. They got to talk to see their mom. They got to go back into their breed standard. They're just like, listen, I'm happy to be alive. And I took that and I was like, if they could do it, I could do it. That was it. That was the mantra to get through.
And
Okay.
sorry, I ran
So-
off for a minute. Alex being
Yeah,
a
all right.
doofus.
So driving.
Driving. Train on the left foot. Start slow. Go into a parking lot. And then elevate. I know it's crazy. Elevate on the right foot. So literally one foot down and the body arced. Both hands on the wheel. A lot of cruise control. A lot of cruise control. That's a big help.
Okay. So are you fully healed now?
Half an inch open, half an inch depth, still open to this day.
Holy.
Using the TheraClean bubbles, PetQuest, Texas, for a year and a half. Those guys were telling me, just you need to do this, the oxygenated bubbles. Dr. Cliff Favor, the same thing. Those guys were getting after me. And I says, guys, I love you. And I know that these things work, but I had to switch doctors. And I was one of those. We'll use the example of a dog. I was one of those dogs that nobody wanted to take on because nobody wants to take on somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
And not only I'm a good patient, but I'm a rambunctious patient, and I'm gonna try to help out during that groom, and I'm gonna lift my legs up and I'm gonna keep on moving, and I'm that one. So whenever I go to that office, everybody goes up, there goes Jess Adorno, and I would come in with my peg leg and start spinning around, and the doctor would just she just was mortified by what was going on. But then at the same token, she was also in awe of it because she said, in all my career, I've never seen anybody do what you did. And I said, well, there you go.
Yeah. No, that leg is amazing. I had something slightly similar.
Mhm.
It was more like a peg leg, like I knelt on and strapped it on, and I did not have the balance for that nonsense. What?
I couldn't kneel and do the peg leg because I have artificial knees on the right and the left. It's
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
what started this whole thing. And ultimately, it was what happened to you. Young in age, I was misdiagnosed with an ACL tear. When you misdiagnose an ACL tear and then it finally ruptured, then I was bone on bone, right leg. Right leg started to lean. My whole body was leaning to the left. Right knee took out the left knee. Left knee took out the left Achilles. Left Achilles took out the right. So basically, my whole lower under has been redone. And I'm not talking about a sex change. I'm talking about all my lower parts. Damn it.
So you've had 2 knee replacements?
2 knee replacements, one Achilles repair on the left and 7 on the right.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, geez.
We'll have to talk about knees later, Mary. It is now she who shall not be named because I don't want her finding the podcast and listening. So we'll
These are things that in our careers, when we start out and we find the passion, I know the first pass of a clipper down my Westie's back, God rest her soul, that she had the worst skirt, and it was probably the ones they make memes about on the internet now. But it was my start, and I'll tell you, the minute that I passed that clipper, I said, "Oh, I got to go to the Yellow Pages. I got to do this. I have to do this." And I say Yellow Pages, not Google.
Yeah.
So a lot of people. I just was passing Jennifer Bishop Jenkins, and she did I get that right? Or
Yeah.
did I-
Jennifer
Okay,
Bishop
sometimes I flip the names around because it's late. But she was coming out, and Jonathan and I were laughing at about something in the Hall of Fame, and she was kind of like looking at me like that kid is too young to know what the hell she's talking about. And I'm like, I know who Sally Liddick is. I know. I was running around here with gallons and carts like everybody else, and she's like, "How old are you?" And I said, "I am 45 years young." And she was like, "You're just so much cooler now." And I'm like, I know about these shows. Guys, do you remember Frank at the Door?
Oh my God.
Frank.
You know what? That is somebody I miss. You
I
know,
miss Frank
That is-
so much.
Especially at the Intergroom show.
I
I
know
pass
and
by all the guys now.
all the Barkley shows and at the Atlanta shows too. Frank was there.
Well, he went to all of them, but that's the one that resonated with me. So when I was just past there now, I kept looking at the security guard and everybody, and the vibe is just not the same. That guy was just pure joy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, we went there one year, we go back the next year. So we talked to Frank while we were there. And the second year we were
Yeah.
there and we walked in the door, he announced us. He remembered who we were and where
Yeah.
we were from.
I
That was
I
an impressive human.
So
Yes.
my first intergroom and the first time I got to meet Frank, I had just started grooming school through PetSmart, and they were still
Mhm.
doing in training. And I had a really great instructor, and like I started on a Monday, and she said, "Okay, we're going on a field trip. It's optional, but we're going on a field trip. There's a grooming convention this weekend. We'll meet you." And I don't think it was in Secaucus. No, it wasn't in Secaucus. It was further down because we went like back and
Yes.
forth a
Yes, it
couple
switched a few
times.
times.
It switched a
Mhm.
few times, but it wasn't in Secaucus, and it was a little, but still drivable distance from me. Because I remember
Mhm.
we met in the parking lot. We're like, okay, and that was it. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And Frank was
He
there,
was
warm
always the
and
face for years and years and years. And it's interesting now as the trade shows go and our industry goes and starts to evolve. And I just passed by and now I'm walking and I do not take that for granted. And I pass by the security guard and I just say hello to him. And I'm like, man, if you ever knew the man that sat in that seat and graced the floors of this convention center, he was amazing. There's got to be like a Frank. There's got to be like a grandson that's going to come up on the chains that we see. I bet you.
Well, that was a family run business. He was in security.
yeah,
Yeah,
So his sons were running the business when he retired. So it's quite possible that Frank's grandsons, granddaughters are in the
yeah,
security field as well.
yeah. We're I feel like I mean that my soul says we're gonna get a little grace of that back. I don't know why I had that feeling, as well as at the trade show. I'm lamenting about this because it's our home show, right, Chris? So
yeah,
I
yeah,
have a lot of memories from when I was just a baby groomer going in there, and just it was so I looked by the Bardell booth and I was just like. I looked by it on Sunday and I looked up and I made a video for Miss Delise and I just said, look at this. Nobody would know. Look at this name. And like the new people, they'll know the name. I says, but they won't know the little lady that stood here and she had a nice proper, and not only would she sell you her bows, that was great, but what she could educate you on life in 10 minutes or less was priceless. And to see those bows just completely gone, I was like, you know what? It's a great thing that I know about that. The history.
yeah. It was kind of cool
Yeah.
seeing Frank Rowan's son, Bardell Bowles, the signs like right next to each other, still there. That they're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
a part of us and a part of the show, and that's going to come again.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
there will be those again. And I see
Yeah.
15 seconds because
Go ahead.
got to push the buttons. Pet Edge is your provider for professional grooming supplies at great prices. Check their website often for new products, sales, and special offers. For a limited time, save 5% off your order with promo code TRAVELER5. Find what you need to succeed at petedge.com.
Look at that. Great segue.
And right? Timing. Really, dude? He looks all calm and like I got him to sit like off camera. Meanwhile, my arm is just in his mouth and he's like, doofus. Okay. So, yeah, it's rough. It's rough working with an injury, and you learn a lot of things about travel. And I have an off-air story for you because I don't want to bash a hotel
Yeah.
because
People.
we're going to
Listen,
give them the chance to get better.
unbelievable. You see life in a different. You
Yeah.
see, first of all, when you're in a scooter, you're already at a lower level.
Yep.
You're at a lower level and you're looking at people in a torso level, in a breast torso level to their body. What I found for 2 years or so being at that level and doing that, a lot of people fail to see you. A lot of people are terrible with handicap accessible people. They think it's fun for you to be in a scooter And that, you know, like, oh, look at this, that there's an entitlement about it, especially when there's a young person like me that's got cool hair and they're like, oh, look at this lazy, you know, person. And then, you know, when they saw that big cage, it would regurgitate back into them and they were like, and I'm like, ah, right. So, you know, very interesting. I believe I was discriminated against. I tell you is some in life, sometimes when you're benched and you're lowered, when you rise up again, you see things more powerful, and you see what I got to see was where there was a gap in our industry that needed to be filled. So I cater my content to that, and I make sure that whatever I'm putting out is really guiding to what's going on and trending and what we need at the moment, not what everybody else is doing. And I thought that was such a big. There's so many lessons that came out of it. I didn't really want to do it for 2 years, but there were some great lessons. And that's why I brought up when you have a team that understands handicapped accessible, doing Atlanta this year versus last year, it was so interesting because I was wheeled from the airport. And so now see my teammates and we're kind of walking in stride. I looked over and I said, remember when you guys did this for me last year? And it's like, even getting into the car, they're like, wait, Jess. And I'm like, no, I don't have a cage anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And what we fail to realize is you're being from scissor company and we're using these in our craft is you have to shift a lot of your weight. And a lot of what we do is physical. So when there is a physical ailment or an injury, you have to groom totally different, sitting down, different angles, and then you are at a disadvantage because animals do know when you are hurt. They know
Yeah.
it, they sense it, they are one with it. So there has to be some type of energy you put out, like, I'm hurt, but I still got it.
Oh,
And so,
learning to groom sitting down
gosh,
stunk because I was grateful I could do it. I was grateful I
yeah,
had the stool. I
yeah,
could still do it. I don't want to seem like I'm pissing and moaning about it, but because
right.
you're not moving the same way you used to, it's almost like learning to groom, not quite all over again, but you do take a couple steps back. You
Like
really
riding
do.
left versus right-handed. I mean, when I started to drive left-handed, you start jerking the brake and you're moving around and you're awkward. You know, I always say to myself, come on, man. There are people in third world countries that make things out of clay. We could do this. Like we have iPhones, darn it. We can do this. We can train for this. And those are my pushes. And I'm like, you could do it. Most of the time, we can't do it.
And that's the thing about mobile and house call is we have that different mentality. And
Yes.
I had to actively work on it because there were one or two things that my knee-jerk reaction was, oh, I can't do this because I'm house call, or I can't be. And I went, wait a second, no, that's the wrong way of thinking. We can do anything you can do in a salon. We just have to figure out different ways to do it.
Yes.
So there's no, you're just mobile, you're just house call,
And I think Mary could speak to that. As you retire, doesn't mean you're not in the industry. You just
yeah.
figured out a different way to.
The- Make sure you're still recording, Chris.
I'm
Yeah, she's
still
back.
recording on everything.
Good.
What happened to it?
I don't know.
That's okay.
Zoom
We're here.
Technology took a whammy on you.
Zoom.
That's
We were
cool.
talking about different ways to get in, you know, how we use
Yeah.
what we've learned, all of our strengths, and how we, you know, evolve from it.
Yeah, you know what? And we don't have to be good at everything. And I think sometimes because we're women-based businesses, we think we have to be good at everything.
Mhm.
So my philosophy is this. I can't figure out something in 15 minutes. I'm hiring someone else to do it.
There you go.
You know, and that was a hard lesson.
Yeah.
Spending hours trying to figure out something when I could have been making money. Okay. And
Yes.
and then I still had to hire somebody.
Yes.
So now I have like a really low threshold.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, Mary, Just right before you got on, we were talking about our family listening to the podcast, and we were like, oh God, no, because they sometimes get talked about. And she said her son-in-law sometimes listens for a few minutes, but we hurt his ears because it's not a professional sound quality.
Oh, yes.
He's a sound engineer. He works for
Oh,
the.
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
then,
yeah.
That's like us
Mary,
looking at catalogs and looking at the grooming and being like, who
yes,
let that dog get photographed?
correct.
We're all snobby in our ways.
But what I would like to say is give him the opportunity to give you for Christmas editing the podcast. I
No.
will let go of that.
No.
I will let go of that. He can edit them. We'll stop talking about them. We'll say nothing but good
There
things
it is.
if he wants to edit this.
What I'm going to do is the next time he makes a snide comment about the podcast, well, I'm going to tell him, well, we'll give you an episode to edit so you could show us how it's done.
Yes, here's the program I'm used to
Show
using.
us.
Here's the program I use because once again, I'm not paying for a program. It's fine program. And I'm not taking another half an hour to learn something new as you discussed. So here's the program. Here's the files. Go.
I love it. This is like giving a family member
Teach me.
the dog that they think is so easy to groom, and then they come back to and go, okay.
Oh my God. So back when I worked corporate, so the original store manager was actually a good guy. Okay. The assistant store manager, Chris, was an asshole. And so one day, I'm having problems with a dog, and I need a second pair of hands. And the assistant store manager is like, suck it up. And the store manager goes to him, go help her. So he had to help me with the dog. I never heard boo out of that man's mouth again. So that when I asked for help with a dog, magically somebody appeared in my grooming room to be my second pair of hands.
Please tell me he got peed on. I don't want, oh, pardon me, I don't want to wish a bite on anyone, but maybe just a little, even better, a little leaky pee-pee. Did he get a little smegma on him?
No,
Just a little bit.
It was not an easy dog to groom, and he had to hold the dog, and I had to tell him how to hold the dog for me. And here I was, this mere woman, telling this guy how to do this. His biggest issue was that I made more money than he did.
I ran into that a lot in corporate. That was a corporate thing because hi, my name is Chris. I'm a recovering power groomer. Because when you're in a corporate environment and it's push, get your numbers, get your goals, hit your sales quotas, we became power groomers. And I'm not saying I was ashamed of any dog I set out the door, but it wasn't always my best work because things happen.
Right.
But all they saw, because this happened at one of the two big P's specifically, and I hated it because it was nobody else's goddamn business what I made. But all management saw commission reports, so they saw what I made. That's all they saw. They didn't see the amount of bites that didn't require medical attention. They didn't see the Roddy in the tub who made direct eye contact, lifted his leg and peed on me while maintaining eye contact. They don't see all the dirt and the pee and the poo and the backaches. They just see that check number.
Yeah, the store manager would come running into the grooming room, waving my check, going, "You made more money than we. This is awesome." And the assistant store manager had a problem with it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, I mean, I have a lot of respect for corporate groomers because I was one of those corporate groomers at one point. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I learned to groom, and it's where I learned to make. In fact, one of my mentors, Beth, I don't know if you know her, Beth Cristiano, who I teach first aid classes with.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's 20 odds years later, and we're still good friends.
Yeah. That's a bond that, when you're in the trenches like that and somebody takes you under their wing and looks at you and says, I see you, and really gives you that, that connection, and it really give you a career. I mean, it's a lifelong career.
Yeah.
This is interesting because Jonathan David and I were just talking about this, how he went to the Nash Academy. He met up with John and Vivian, and he said, I was just not taking it seriously. And they said, listen, hunker down, we'll support. And look at the career he has now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. The man's been on a Verizon commercial over and over. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, along with other things. That's just the last recent thing.
I
But I
don't think
mean,
I knew that.
yeah, it was last year he was on or maybe the year, like my 2 year blip is like COVID. It's all together. But he did representing mobiles. He looked himself. He was blow drying an Afghan in a Verizon commercial for, Wi-Fi and internet and small businesses. Yeah, I mean, awesome.
I'm making faces because I'm so sorry, Jonathan. I did see that commercial, but all I saw
Yeah,
was the Afghan.
that's so funny.
I was focused on the dog. I didn't even. Oh,
That's okay. When he gets the checks, he doesn't care. And that's the point that a lot of groomers that I hope are listening to this, they really are hearing it, that we all go through stages in our careers where we look at, I'm a power groomer, this one, that, same as me. I was in the Bronx with a mobile grooming trailer, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. A girl from the Bronx with a Jeep Grand Cherokee running that single axle trailer, and that poor thing was bouncing all over the place. And I'll tell you, a table, a drawer, and a tub, just like a straight, a thinner, and a curve can get you a long way.
yep.
So what year did you have that trailer in the Bronx?
2007, it was the Gryphon trailer. Oh my goodness. I got every penny out of that thing, and it got me.
Yeah,
You know what?
we can talk off air about that because I grew up in Yonkers.
Being from Jersey, but having driven in the Bronx, my
Ah,
nephew is on Gun Hill Road. I am in
yeah,
the
look at
Bronx
this.
regularly.
Yeah, look at this. Our
So
people.
I will say you were a little crazy dragging a single axle trailer, but
But wait, even
yeah.
crazier was I did not know how to drive a trailer.
Oh God.
Here comes Jess Adorno with a sports car coming in, with my beautiful car. I used to wipe with a diaper, and here I say, well, I want to go mobile. And I would tell you that it was like a pacifier, taking it away, or a bottle from a baby. No, no. And I said, oh, I got to trade this nice sports car in for something I could tow. And I got this clunky Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I hated every minute because it was big. It was a family car. It's 20 something years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
SUVs weren't cool back
They
then.
were not. And Jeep Grand Cherokees are nice, but 20 years ago, definitely clunkier than they are today.
Oh,
So
forget
boxy.
about
It
it.
was a box.
Just put a label on me. Here we go. And now I trade in this vehicle. I'm a girl from the Bronx. I've never towed a boat, never towed anything. And I say, here we go. We're gonna tow this bad boy around. And then I go down the street and have to reverse. That's when everything in your life changes. And I remember I was not in the Bronx when I was doing this. I was in Rockland County, and you go one way and it goes another way, and you go another way. And I got my future box salons just going left and right. And but I figured it out. That is how crazy I was. And then I said, well, let's just take it to the Bronx now. Gosh. The grit.
And yeah, it's a special kind. And I have a very good friend I used to work with who would say, no offense, Chris, but every groomer I've ever met, and she worked at a doggy daycare, she's like, every groomer I ever met has been a little bit off. None of y'all are right. And I went, well, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
You start to realize that when you come off of a trade show and you go back into Gen Pop and you're like,
Uh-huh.
shit, people don't know what we're talking about here, and they don't know.
No.
Every once in a while, this will go up also to YouTube.
Okay.
And every once in a while we'll get the comment, you really need to put the word pet in front of groomer, And I'm like, first of all, why are you listening to this? This is,
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Yeah. Ew. Did you just out? Ah.
People in the world.
You know what? I have never gone on our YouTube channel and
No, don't.
looked at comments. Really? I shouldn't.
Yeah, don't waste your time.
Okay.
I love this.
Fun
So,
times. Oh, hey, wait a second. We got total attack. We got 2 more buttons to hit, so I'm going to hit one of them. Are you ambitious and motivated? Looking to pivot your career within the pet industry? Hesitant to take the first step? Unsure of how to begin? If so, the Create That Program monthly membership is tailored for you. Gain access to over 20 hours of recorded content, invaluable workbooks, and practical checklists. Additionally, benefit from a monthly group coaching call with Maryoquendo, a 2-time nominee for Barclay's Contribution to the Industry Award. Are you prepared to make a worthwhile investment in yourself? For just $197 a month, initiate your journey towards leaving a lasting mark on the pet industry by joining Create That Program. Join today at createthatprogram.com.
And we're back.
and we're back. All right, so where were we, Chris?
I don't know where we were. We were talking about how groomers are all a little bit off. Don't bother going to YouTube. And why would you out yourself as probably a word I can't say on Google, something file, as saying you should really put pet before this? If you didn't think it was about pet grooming, what does that say about you then that you are then watching?
Uh-huh.
And on a completely off-topic tangent, for those of you watching on YouTube, I am mesmerized by how shiny this is. This is the new
The great
smock from Celtic Canine, and I'm like, I'm just watching the little screen going, I'm so shiny.
Yes, that's a really nice smock. It's definitely making a splash in the industry.
Okay, so what I like,
they were not available when I was grooming, but go ahead.
One of the things I like about it is I only ordered one because the size range is limited, so I knew it was going to be a little snug. So I'm like, yeah, you know how it gets tight on the belly. I wore it and I realized because the pattern are so abstract, when you wear it with like black leggings and because it's black, even though it's a little snug, it's very slimming because instead of your eye being drawn anywhere, it's like all this spatter. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, I look fantastic. Yeah, it's tight. I need to lose some weight, but I still look good. God damn it. Amanda, give me 2. Give me another one.
It's that corset back. That corset backing right by what I love with the small of the back, aka the tramp stamp area. If anybody needs a better GPS towards it, that really is. This is how I teach. And when I say things like that, and I'm like, I go right away, and then you're like, did she just say that? And then they pay attention, and they're like, oh, I know exactly where that is. I'm like, exactly. This is why you got to pay attention. That is exactly what's drawing your eye. It's like kind of like a swivel. It's those little things that just help you along the way. And you're like, this is a nifty little damn thing.
And it's when we say the inappropriate things, something I say 100 times a trade show. And I kind of like, I sometimes see if I can get away with saying it, but because you hold swivels different and somebody who's never used a swivel before, I'm like, okay, so first thing I want you to remember, I know you were taught to just put the tips of your fingers in the shears. And I say this with a dead straight face. And I said, but we believe that just the tips is no fun. So get in there. And every so often somebody will just like, it'll go right over their head. But all the rest of the time they're like, I'm like, you're going to remember though. You're going to remember how to hold the shears. Because just the tip is never fun. Like, when has that been a thing?
No. Grooming. Only our people get that, and they definitely get a kick out of it. I mean, my van is at the show in front of the Harmony Suites, And everybody that comes in says that, the plate that I customize that says sheer porn on it. And I mean, it's just so funny when I'm just around and an average person is just walking by and the band is catchy and they look down and they're just walking down and they go and they lip it and I'm higher on the band. They go and they look around and I look at them and I just start laughing and they're like
That's like foot porn has a completely different meaning for us.
yeah,
It's like, oh, look at the bevel on that. Oh,
yeah. We are each other's people. And, I think what you could gather from this is that no matter whether you're corporate, whether you're social media, whether you're competitive, whether you're this brand or this brand, I tell everybody all the time, you guys, we are all groomers. We are all groomers first. That is our commonality. Where we spread and our colors splatter around on top of that smock, they all go together and they slim. That's what we do.
it meshes. We all work together. Yeah. No, it's a fantastic community to be a part of.
Yeah, at
And
least at
yeah.
least the true professionals do. It's interesting. Andis was making a big stir over there. They were making a lot of noise. And Jonathan and I went over and Diane Badalak was over there and Stephanie and they're all like looking at us and we're looking at them. And later on, they came over to ours, our booth, and we were just laughing and they say, you know what, we're all just groomers having a good time. And the brands that we represent and we like, it's true, but we have a camaraderie first that's respectful. And those are the groomers that you go year after year and you just look at each other and you say, you know what? Whatever you need. You need bags, free booths, we got it. Like, it's teamwork.
During during the first aid class, there was an hour break for lunch. And one of the kids that won the clipper from the Andis booth was because he did a split.
Yeah.
And he was very proud of it. He came into the classroom holding up his clippers,
Yeah.
and it's like, so we asked him to demonstrate the winning move, and he goes, "Oh no, you're gonna have to cart me to the hospital if I do it again."
That's it. One clipper worth.
Yeah, one clipper worth.
Yeah. Anything else, we're pulling something, there's hernias involved. No. No.
Injury involved. You have to be careful, but it's always nice to see that camaraderie. No matter if that is your brand or not, or your preference or not, it's just nice that one person at the trade show had enough gumption to come into the class that maybe he or she would have not come in and said anything to, and said, "This is what I did," and then that makes somebody else talk, and another one talks, and the networking happens. And a lot of the times at these trade shows, people I find are they don't want to come up, they don't want to approach. And I say I am one of the most approachable. I don't shut up, you know. But
I can verify. I've heard you from 2 stalls away. Like,
yeah,
she's still
in the bathroom.
I'm like, Jess, you're
everywhere.
in the damn bathroom.
They get me in the bathroom and I don't care. I'll just wash and let's get after it, because it's interesting that there was one girl this show and her name was Natalie, and they don't think that I remember the names too. Some of them I don't, some of them I do, but there's moments. And she said to me, 4 years ago at this show, you looked at me and I was in a peculiar spot in my grooming career, and you looked at me and you told me, just do it. I mean, she said it in such a Jess way that I was like, I definitely said that, because you could see her going into the moment. And when she did that, she recalled me to the moment. And I looked at her and I looked at her 4 years later and she says, I am best in Hoboken. I am this, I am that. And I go, there it is. If I gave you that and now you're back 4 years later, and she's looking at me and she's like, well, now I'm 4 years. And guess what? I'm the best, but it's only in Hoboken. I want people to know about me. And I said, so how's your social media? And she goes, oh, I hate social media. I said, And she went on and on to say this and that about the camera. And I said, I understand that is not the most comfortable space. I get it. I said, would anybody ever imagine that when I was a child, I did not like to public speak? What the hell happened over here? Something happened and it just turned on, and now it doesn't want to shut off. And now we don't want to shut it off now. It's okay. Just to make sure we fine tune these things. But she looked at me and I said to her, when you're on camera, this is the best thing I could give you. Don't talk to the camera. Talk to me through the camera. Talk to me, look right in that camera, because just like I gave you something 4 years ago, you could be giving somebody their whole career just by them listening to you. And she looked at me and she had another aha moment. I said, all right, so 4 years ago, I got you on the staircase up. Now you're in the middle and you've done well. Now you have to catapult yourself with the social media and bring it all together.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come back to me when you've done all that. There's no time frame. You do it in your time frame. And she's looking around like, she's right. And I'm like, this the one thing you say that you want to do is the one thing you said you weren't good at. So now you got to be a little uncomfortable to get comfortable. And she
And
was like, yeah.
that's the thing with public speaking. People are uncomfortable at it, so they don't do it. But how do you get better at doing something? By doing it. You don't get better at something just thinking about it, just going, oh, I'd like to get better at public speaking and social media, and never do it. You got to do it. Your very first haircut probably wasn't Hall of Fame material.
Yeah.
You don't pick up a pair of shears and groom a dog and say, okay, go to Crufts, go to Westminster, you're good to go. Not your first time out the gate.
You know, I have a
practice.
before and after one of the first dogs I groomed, and I keep it because it's not the best. But it shows, you know, where it was. And no, I was not.
Gross.
Yeah. And if I go back, if I go back to that groomer I was when I first started at corporate, I would probably be appalled at some of the things that I've done. Okay. But that's where education comes in. Right? You learn to be better. And it's okay no matter where you are. None of us were born with ribbons in our hands from the contest that we won. We started somewhere, we learned somewhere, and I will guarantee you, I don't know of a single person who can come to you and say, well, my first groom was perfect.
No way. That's why I always use the staircase, you know, when I'm teaching new students. I say, you ever try to get to the top of a staircase and just run and get up to the top and they look at me like if I'm crazy? And it says, exactly. You can't do that with this dog right now. You just have to start at the first step of just understanding the handling, understanding anatomy, understanding coat and skin, and then the rest starts to happen.
And bringing it back, actually, I'm going to play one commercial, then I'm going to bring it back, a last commercial, to something we were talking about in the beginning. Hanvi engineering isn't just for mobile groomers. I have loved my Hanvi equipment for years before I even thought of getting a mobile van, and I wouldn't want to groom without my Bathing Beauty and hair vac. With every piece of equipment in their van and outside of it having its own QR code linked to troubleshooting tips and fixes, these low-maintenance workhorses turn potential roadblocks into mere speed bumps. Check them out yourself at hanvi.com. Alaric is finding every piece of hair that I didn't vacuum and now hacking it up. But I had to actually look it up. I still remember my very first Hershey that I worked. Dude, are you all right? Okay. Because I was telling Angie about it last night. I think it was like the second night I legit cried myself to sleep because I was new behind the booth and I knew that you had to do certain things to hold swivels differently, but I didn't have the words to articulate why because it was still new for me. I wasn't who I was then. And I remember, and it was nobody we see now. So don't worry, it's not Jonathan or anybody, but it was someone from the first season of Groomer Has It. And I had to even look up a picture to remember her name because it was so, and I tried to say, well, you hold it like this. And she was like, but you're just supposed to put the tips of your fingers in the shears. And like the condescending way she looked at me, and what was frustrating was I didn't have the practice, the words, the experience to say why we do things a certain way, because that takes time and experience and growth, and I had to
yeah.
figure it out. But yeah, the people who were on that season one, who are still names, who are still around, they're the amazing people,
Great.
because there's a lot who just kind of disappeared. But I mean, no, Jonathan was on the second season, wasn't he? He wasn't
I
even on.
believe it was first season. Groomer has it first season.
Oh,
No, I'm pretty sure first season,
Yeah,
because I
first season.
remember my absolutely favorite episode was when they put him and Jorge in a mobile grooming van, and they promptly hit an overhead tree,
yes.
control, and that grooming van.
Maybe.
And to this day they are still friends.
Yeah.
That goes to show everyone the lifelong relationships that you can have. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Maybe it was the second season then, because I'm looking at pictures and I see like Hubert and Lisa, who are still around and awesome.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
And no, it was somebody from the second season then. But yeah, the ones who are still around are amazing. Not that I'm not calling the other people like poop or anything, but
Yeah, but I mean, it
when
goes to
you,
show the dedication that
yes,
they really had to catapult them, because we all know this. We're behind the scenes, so we know it takes a lot. It takes a lot to leave your business, then go and support somebody else's business, then to create a curriculum that many people understand neurodivergent and regular. There are a lot of us out there that are not going to just get it one way. So that level of passion and grace to keep on working and talk about it like us at 10 o'clock at night is because we love what we do, and it's not something
yeah,
that's a job, it's a passion.
yeah.
So to see Hubert and Jonathan and Jorge, and it's unbelievable.
And by the way, Jorge, speaking at the shows, when he's working behind the booth, he's one of those people, and I haven't seen him in a little bit, but genuine, like
Oh yeah.
remembers you, talks to you.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, the people who have the longevity in our profession are the
Mhm.
ones who are genuine and who can still tell it like it is, but tell it in a kind manner. And I think that is
Yeah.
so important for us, because
Right.
if we don't tell it that way, it's not going to get received. You can have all the
Absolutely.
correct information, you can be 100% right, but if you are not kind about how you deliver it, it's not going to come through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is, I guess, more a little hot topic for this week is that bullying is not the way to get your point across.
This is
Correct.
airing, this is, well, it's a hot topic this week.
Oh, no, that it's not going away.
Who
Favors
knows?
involved, it's not going anywhere.
Who knows?
Okay? So,
I know
so
nothing.
this is going to air in like 6 weeks. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But
And
one
if
of
you
the,
don't, you're blessed, and don't worry about it.
don't even ask. Don't ask. Consider yourself lucky. You have a podcast too now, don't you, Jess?
I do not have a podcast. I'm working on it now, but again, these projects were all from the injury put on hold, which I am actually, sometimes when things get put on hold, they become even better. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's coming.
Sneak peek maybe? You have a
Sneak
title?
peek. I don't know yet. Not yet, because it's just not going to be for the grooming industry. It's going to be for everyone. So I'm not sure if it's going to be called That's Life, because I have a lot of people on my regular social media that are just, different walks of life. And they're like, listen, we're not groomers, but we just love to hear what you have to say. We'll
Oh,
see.
okay. Well, hold on. Something with that sentence in the title to be the name of your podcast. I have something to say.
I have something to say.
I have something to say.
Yeah. Well, it's coming. And I feel like it's, again, there. I also feel like shears pick you. There, you could have a billion shears on the table, and I will, when anybody comes up to me and they get confused, and the shears are really just, Macintosh versus Granny Apple, that type of level where it's a preference at this point. I always tell them, close your eyes. And they look at me like if I'm crazy. And I says, close your eyes and give them this sharp tool in their hand. And I say, just do muscle memory, what you know. And they'll do it. And I'll switch them back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then essentially say, hold the one up that you feels the best. And they'll go, this one. And I go, your body picked it for you. So I feel like in life, these things happen for a reason. I know that I was a better guest today than I would have been 2 years ago, because 2 years ago I was riding the COVID and people of the page and all that. And that's great. But the seriousness of what had happened to me and what my purpose is in the industry, full circle, this was a better interview. So sometimes we wait, and it's actually better that we wait. So I can't wait for the next project, but I let them come to me a little bit more than I seek them in now.
Okay.
Right. And hopefully we'll see you again on the
That
podcast.
just grew up. Just grew up. That's it.
Before another 2 years.
What was
Worst
that?
case, maybe we'll see you again before 2 years are up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Young kids don't care about me anymore. They just want their iPads and their devices. It's great. It's great. I can be up late night and I'm not looking at how the toothpicks are opening my eyes up. So yes, it's time for us all to keep on educating and catapulting the industry forward through these chats, because these chats and talks definitely help that one person. If that's one person, we did our job tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's it.
that's why we do this.
Yeah.
So that
It's to inspire.
even when we have episodes where it's like where I worry and I'm editing and I'm like, did we even talk about grooming? I'm like, but it's
Grooming and life, what we do with
Yeah.
the animals is very similar. Like I said, I took that one example of how they go with these big old cones, and they just have to go through a lot, and we don't realize that. I realize it. It's how it mobile picked me, really. I was in a salon, about 30 dogs running through, prep area. We're just finishers. Finish the dog, finish the dog. Standards, new fees, everything there. And one day, maybe a month and a half in, I said to the owner, and we were very good friends. She married me and my wife. So it wasn't anything. I looked at her and I said, what's the name of this dog? And she said to me, don't worry about it. Just get it done. And that was the day that mobile picked me. It happened that day. And oddly enough, 2 weekends ago, I went to a salon, maybe 40 minutes up. It's a friend of mine. Her husband, I met her at the trade show. They love cars. He helped me with some of these mods. And she's 9 months pregnant. She's going to die a dog. And I go to myself, oh my goodness, is she crazy? She's running a full Saturday. She's got a dye job and everything. I says, I'm going up there to help you. I bring my assistant. We just get in there. We just start working on the dog, working on the dog. And now I'm in my own space all the time. I control what goes on in here. And it seems like it's a lot in the moment, but it's really 30 minutes of a day, and then everything else is really quiet in here. It's very interesting. Perception is there's always a party in here, but it really isn't. Once in a while. So now we go, and all of a sudden I'm at a table, and the bather comes, then she comes, then the door opens, then this happens, and I'm trying to get the angulation, and this, and that, and I go to myself, oh gosh, I don't know how they do this here. I start to get, and I go back. In my groomer sense, I start to go right into my spidey sense of when I used to be at the salon. I kid you not, the same moment happened to me. I said to her, this is a good friend of mine. Now she also has pregnancy brain. I said to her, what's the name of this dog? She says, we couldn't get the name of the dog. So I called over. It's another where I'm in the bathing room. Said it again. She goes, oh my gosh, I knew all 14 dogs, but the 15th dog, I can't. And I took that as a sign to say, you are exactly where you need to be. You exactly pick where you need to. 22 years later, I'm asking the same damn question. And that one question led me to mobile. It picked me. And I always have a thing. I want to know who's in front of me. I want to know their name. Because in a name, you can show so much correction. Bella, Bella, Bella. If you don't know the dog's name, you're kind of like, there's no conversation. What do you call him? Hey?
Dude. There's a friends, really good friends of mine, and I did know the dog's name.
Yeah.
but I basically changed it to dude, and they just laughed
Yeah.
at me because that was like, dude.
That works
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes it works, but those are the moments when those are the aha moments that you have to. I'm always paying attention to those. I'm that type of person that sees those signs, and I'm just like, and I laughed, and my assistant was there, and she's only been in here, and so now we're going back in the mobile. We're driving down. I'm dropping her off to her house, and I look left, I look right, and I said to her, "So, what'd you think?" She looked at me. She goes, "I'm mobile for life." But the flip side is we can tell you horror stories that happen here. People
Yep.
disturbing and knocking on the door. I mean, what I'm trying to say is there always is a trade-off. For groomers, they have to pick what's the best trade-off for them. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. People come and they say, "Well, I want a swivel chair." And I says, "This is a swivel that I have, but over there, they have a passion for swivels that you don't even understand." You go over to Chris and she is going to tell you all the things as she should. And so those to me are proper placements of people.
Yeah.
Those are the right things where you put them in the right areas and they're going to get what they want versus me just trying to make a sale. For what? If you have a good product or if you're a good groomer, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that with a sale. You don't have to do that with a client. Everybody says, I say to everybody, they say, "Well, your clients always look so much fun. How do you do this with the van and all this?" Like, I says, because if I have anxiety going to a stop, when I wore that cage, and I literally had the cage from my groin all the way down to my foot, no control of the right side other than to move it on my tushy, I better have liked the clients that I was servicing. I better have liked them to go down into a running board, go down the stairs, go. And some of them were just, we're going to help you and that's it. But I wanted to do it, to show, prove. I wanted to get exercise too. And I'll tell you, they gave me the dog. And looking back at it now, I say to myself, I wouldn't give my dog to somebody that looked like that. I really wouldn't. I thought I looked so freaking crazy. I look at the videos and I go, that's nuts. And the fact that they gave me their little dogs and I walk like robo groomer, and they never thought that I couldn't do it. They never thought it. They never knocked on the door. Nobody ever checked them and said, "Are you all right in there?" Because by the time they even thought about it, I was coming out with the dog up their stairs, and they were just like, but you know what that did? Now when I come and I come popping up the stairs, they look at me and they go, "You?" They think I'm some type of warrior legend. And that level of respect, when I say, you know, it's a time, the taxes have gone up, the tariffs have gone up, gas, everything's gone up. Everything has gone up. I got to raise your prices. It had nothing to do with me being Jess Adorno now. This is just the price of business has gone up. They say, whatever you need, Jess. That to me is a respect that they say, this woman here, she's not playing games now. She's trying to survive for her family. And people see that. Those are your clients. And then you have the ones when I was in that cage, Mary, lady, the other dog of the house that I did not service. Don't let the dog get out. No problem. Got the little dog. She comes out to say something to me. She lets the big dog out. Now she wants me to get that big dog in when I have that cage. That's a Bernedoodle. So lo and behold, that was the situation. It all worked out the way it is, but that is no longer my client. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, it actually didn't happen at that stop at the moment in time. It happened months later. And I said to myself, this is time. There were signs in the making and the marking of this. And now this is the time. So I always say to everybody, this is the best thing. If I had anxiety coming onto this show because I just didn't like you guys, you shouldn't do it. If I have anxiety
Mm-hmm.
going to a stop or going into someone's home and there's just a little piece of me that just doesn't feel good about it, you shouldn't do it
Yeah.
because that starts to grow a bigger thing. And then we know what happens.
When my husband lost his kidney, it was a crazy time. He was in and out of the hospital. They nicked his intestine. He was in the hospital for like more than a month while he was dealing with that. And I'm still running my grooming business. And I realized it's coming up on Christmas. And I realized I had forgotten to make an appointment for a 4-week schnauzer for Thanksgiving. And when I realized that, I called them up and like, oh my God. I says, I totally forgot to book your appointment. Now it's 8 weeks. All right. And the response was, we've known you long enough that you would not have forgotten our appointment, that something must have happened and we didn't want to intrude. And this was this little schnauzer. I have mixed feelings about him. On one hand, I absolutely love this little dog.
That's me most of the time, do.
Yeah, all right. But sometimes, I mean, I love him. Okay. Well, he's long gone at this point. I was there in a snowstorm and he was always a pain in the butt. And I go to him, I go, you could be bad any other groom. I need you to be good now because it's starting to snow. I need to get out.
I got to get home.
I got it. He was good. He was good as gold. Right. I get there one day and all the grandkids are there. There had to have been 12, 8 and 9 and 10-year-old kids in this house. They had a lot of grandkids. And that dog, and they were playing with him. And we know schnauzers. Yeah, maybe not. That dog literally jumped in my arms. Get me out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I swear I'll be good. Just get me out of here. If you keep me in the truck just a little bit longer, I'd appreciate it. But he was a character. I was really sad when they moved to Florida. But anyway, yeah.
All right, guys. Jess, remember when I said it's an hour, but sometimes we get chatty and I'll try to keep us to time?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So
Listen, it's all right. I just have to let my wife know where I go about in this van. She goes, no, aren't you in there the whole day? And then she says, "Who you doing a podcast at what time?" And then she says to me, "Well, how long is it?" This is the wife time now.
Oh, that's why I'm like, no, because I know
they all have to
husband,
share
he's
you
the
with the
same
world
way.
now.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so this has been awesome.
It has.
Simultaneously, let's not wait 2 years, but if we do, we got
Nope.
a 2-year date. This is happening again because this was awesome.
Oh gosh, I'll be on again. Don't worry about it.
All
right. Yeah, this was a good time.
Guys, thanks for coming on. Mary, did I miss
Pleasure.
anything?
No, I think you're good.
All right. Safe travels, everybody. We will see you next time.
We will see you. Bye-bye, ladies. Thank you.
Hang on. Well, that was fun. But now it's time to head home. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed chatting with you. If there are any topics you'd like us to discuss or guests you want to see join us on this crazy road trip of ours, let us know in the Traveling Groomers Facebook page. Don't forget to thank our sponsors. And see you next week, guys. Safe travels.